Hi, in this video I'm going to describe how Rome became an empire and why the Western Roman Empire collapsed. If you want to learn general facts about Rome, however, then you should watch the previous video. If you want to learn about the Rome as an empire, then stay here. First, I'm going to talk a bit about Rome's military expansion. Rome had started expanding while it was still a republic. At its peak, the Roman Republic covered around 1.9 million square kilometers and was one of the largest cities at that time. The reason for this expansion was armed conflict with neighboring regions. Thanks to discipline, courage, strict punishments, and great promises of rewards, the Roman soldiers were often at an advantage. Diplomacy and politics were two other important factors that contributed to Rome's expansion. Because they often won, they kept on expanding and eventually made themselves dependent on these expansions. Roman citizens were now used to the lifestyle it generated, and Rome's ever-expanding army relied on financial support from the conquered region's resources. So why did the Republic become an empire? The first point here is the fact that Roman generals often distributed spoils amongst their soldiers. Thus, soldiers started becoming more loyal to their generals than they were to the Roman Republic. This had started happening even before Julius Caesar came to power. Julius Caesar is often the first to be mentioned when the Roman Empire is discussed. Even though he wasn't the first sole emperor of Rome, he marked the beginning of this new chapter in Rome's history. Caesar came from an aristocratic and influential family and went on to become a Roman official in general. He became very powerful and successful in his political career, from governing Roman provinces to becoming the consul and then later gaining wealth from military endeavours. He was also very generous with the rewarding of his soldiers, which naturally made him loyal followers. Later, Caesar managed to conquer Rome after defeating Pompey's army. He then became consul for the second time, as well as the sole authority in Rome. He also put his supporters in the Senate, and this way he thought he could stay consul for longer. This worked for a while, but later, when he declared himself dictator for life, the senators could not bear it any longer. They had become so annoyed by that time that some senators plotted to murder him. Despite Caesar's death, the senators were not able to stop Rome from losing republicanism as its form of government. Caesar's adoptive son, Octavian, came to power and became the new sole authority in Rome, and after Mark Antony committed suicide along Cleopatra. Unlike Caesar, he was a lot more cautious in tactic. He was willing to let the Senate stand, and he was willing to assume a humbler position himself. This way, he maintained good relations with the Senate, who in return gave him power, but they didn't actually give him power. There was no doubt about the fact that Octavian was the main authority in Rome. They didn't really have a choice because Octavian had the army on his side, and so the Senate did not have a lot of actual power, but he still wanted to have diplomatic relations with the Senate because he had seen what had happened to Caesar. The empire, however, continued to expand even after Octavian, and later war with other people and civil war inside the Roman Empire led to the beginning of the empire's decline. Most of these civil wars took place between 200 and 300 AD. This period of decline would continue for 2 more centuries. This is also when the Roman Empire became Christian. This happened around 306, and before this, Christianity had been illegal and Christians had been heavily persecuted in the Roman Empire. The Emperor Constantine was the one who put an end to all this persecution. The reason why he did that was because God came to him in a dream and asked him to paint a symbol on the armor of his soldiers before an important battle. He did that and won the battle, and thus became a Christian himself. By the year 380, all religions other than Christianity were illegal in the Roman Empire. In the meantime, however, Rome split permanently into 2 parts, the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire. This happened in the year 395. The Western Roman Empire was especially in a very weak position, and not long after this started experiencing attacks, and they weren't very good at defending themselves anymore against these attacks. These conflicts became an economic burden on Rome as well, and that made wealthy citizens flee from cities. This obviously reinforced the economic decline. The Eastern Roman Empire was a lot more stable and continued to exist until 1400th century as the Byzantine Empire. The Western Roman Empire managed only to continue until 476 BC, when Odoacer conquered Italy. Rome had already been plundered in 410 BC. by a group of Germanic tribes.